Welcome to Jackal DIY and Tech. In my last video I showed you how to make the big button, but I didn't actually go over the components. So this will be the video that does exactly that, so you can make your own big button controller if you so want. So let me jump right in. What you need is the Atmega 32U4 chip. This is the easiest way to get USB HID, which is a keyboard or mouse controller. In this case, I was just using the space key and then also using it to control LEDs. So this is what you want. So which one have I used? I used a Type-C, so I will link a Type-C. Now I do see they have multiple different configurations. So I will link the ones that I've used, and I have used one that has Type-C USB connection. And I will also link the code that I have actually used, so you can simply copy and paste it inside, if you so wish. Next, the bread and butter is actually the big button. Now you can go as big as you want. These two are quite big, 10 centimeters. I opted for something like these ones. Let me just see if I see any that are actually the same. So I have something like this, just not as high as these ones. Now I will provide you with all of the Amazon links, but I will then at the end also show you all of the components that you can get on AliExpress if you want to wait a little bit. To make this gaming looking and also so it brings more attention to it, you'll want some ARGB strips. You will want them to be 5 volts, so the Atmega chip can power it, and you can, well, basically use anything that you want. Well, almost anything. You want the strip to be bendable. Do I see anything on the first side? I think almost. So this one is not good. It is SMD 5050. You do not want this one. You want this one because you want to address each individual LED. So you want something like this. And you want as many LEDs per meter as you can get. In my case, I had 60 LEDs per meter. So I think 6.6 feet is about 2 meters with 120 LEDs. So this would be 60 LEDs per meter. So this one is just what you want. And the next thing, or the last thing, is the actual housing. I have used a dead water pump. It looked something like this. Now I did not find the exact same one on Amazon, which they do have available on AliExpress, but in my opinion, $40-ish, I don't think this is worth it. Now it does look nice, but if you don't have a dead water pump lying around, I would opt for something else. And that something else, well, it depends on the box that you have, but I found, let's say this one. We have an acrylic block. Now in this case it does say, for this one, for the rectangle one, the size is length and width. We have 5 centimeters, so that's good. But you also have the cylinder one, except in this case, is it the same? Maybe it's the same, so 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. Now in this case you get 4 pieces of acrylic, each of different height. So you will need to cut it down to size. And also you will need to sand it to get the milky kind of look. As for the housing, I found this one. You could take the bottom piece, maybe also the top piece of this one, and turn it around to make 2 buttons. You'll just have to drill the holes through the wood and into the acrylic. That will be up to you. So this is something that you can use. And as you can see, this one is also 5 centimeters. In width, so the acrylic will nicely fit on. But then you can also get something like this, so a wooden ring holder or also jewelry box, but in this case they did not mention jewelry box in the name, so I did not find it that easily. So it's like this. It comes with a magnet. You will most likely take this out. You can also use the bottom and the top to make 2 buttons. As for the size, it's a little bit bigger than the acrylic, so you may need to sand it down a little bit to have it flush with the acrylic. And if you want to get fancy, you can also use something like this. This is a wedding ring box. It is made out of wood and resin, so you could potentially put everything inside and just have a one big box with a button, if that is what you want. Now let's jump into the AliExpress and see the comparison of the prices that you will pay. And also you have to know that you may wait more than a month, and with all of the tariffs going on, I actually don't know if the prices that I will show are representative. In case you want to build this project and use the same housing, it is this water pump by Sys Cooling, and the model is P67A. Now it costs, let's say, 26 euros. This is a decent price for a water pump anyway. If you just need the housing, maybe not so much, especially considering that it also has some shipping. Now you can look for other water pump models, but in case you do need these two screws, no other pump has it, only this one, so you will need to fill those holes maybe with some buttons. But I did find some alternatives that you can use, so in this case I would go with the white 5x5 by 3 cm block. Shipping is basically free if you have more than 15 euros on order, and white looks like this. So this will be the top for all of the LEDs, but then you need something maybe like this. So basically it's a blank wood jewelry box, and you get it in two pieces so you can make two of them, so from the top and the bottom piece. Now in this case the box is a little bit bigger than the block by 5 mm on both sides, so you would have to make your own judgment on how you want this to be assembled. You also have the option to etch something into the wood, like this one. It's the same box, just with the etching, but you have another option, which is a round box, also for jewelry. In this case, let's see the size. This size is 5 cm, so this is good. You also see 3.5 cm, though in this case I do not know if this also includes the top. If it does, then I don't know how much space this has inside. But as for the acrylic, you do have this round one, and do we have any in white? I do know we have a dimension of 5 by something, so 5 by 3, but I didn't find any acrylic in white, so you would have to sand it down yourself. As for the other components, you have the Atmega 32 U4 Pro Micro. I used USB Type-C, and I think you can get one for about 5 euros. I think this one's it. You also have some arcade buttons. I think you should have plenty to choose from, but just choose the appropriate ones so that they fit inside the acrylic and they are not too high and mess with the PCB inside the casing. So I believe I have something like this. These are not as high as the previous one, and you get a bunch of colors to choose from. And also different sizes, so 24 mm or 30. You then obviously need a USB-C to USB-C or either USB-C to USB-A cable, but this will depend on the device that you want to use this on. As for the LEDs, you will want addressable ones, most likely something like this, and make sure that you get the ones with 5 volts. 5 volt DC, especially if you want to power the LEDs directly from the Atmega chip. And which one should you use? I suggest you use at least this one that has 60 LEDs per meter. Now in this case this one is a little bit costly. I just clicked on one, but I did get 5 meters of 60 LEDs, so 300 LEDs in total, for about 10 euros. So you'll have to browse a little bit. Now those are all of the components that you need, but you will need some tools to make this happen. As promised, this is the whole code that I have used at the end. Instead of 1500 or how many lines, it's only 400. And let me just go over the code so you know how to change it if you need to. So this is the pin that I have used on the Atmega chip. Simply change the number to the pin that you will actually use. Then specify how many LEDs you have used in the strip. In my case, I have used 9 LEDs. Then you can specify the maximum brightness that each LED will have and the minimum breadth level. Then we have a color palette. I have just specified 3 colors. If you use an RGB value, you have to use this syntax. If you just specify a color, like maybe blue, then you use this kind of a syntax. And anytime you see // this is a comment, so all of these colors are commented out. So if you uncomment them, then you will have access to these 5 colors. The speed is this one, so lower value is faster breathing, which is actually not the case. Lower value slows down the animation, I believe, but you can test it out. It's been a while since I have done this code. And also I have not done it manually. This was mostly done with ChatGPT or other tools that actually understood what I wanted to do. Then we have various different animations, so center burst and some of the parameters for this animation. The center wipe also has one specific property and a confetti animation. And as you can see, some of them have define and some of them have constants. Then here we have 2 pins, so I have 2 buttons. The big button, also simply specify which pin you will connect it to, and if you have a small button that changes the idle animations, also specify the pin for the small button. Then the code does its thing. Now I have commented this section out, and why I've done that is basically if this is uncommented, it will only work if you use Arduino IDE. So basically if you connect then this big button to another PC or some tablet or a phone, it will not work because it expects a serial connection, which none of those devices will do. This is only established within Arduino IDE. So this is something that you actually do not need, and I will remove it. And then we have the main loop, which basically does all of the animations. And then we have the main loop. The only thing that you may want to change is the number of spins. So when you press a button, it does this single circle animation, and it, in this case, spins 10 times before it goes back into the idle state animations. And as it is, with 10 spins, the idle animation activates in about 3 seconds. So this was perfect for my game that I have built, which I will also link so you can go see it, how I have done it. Let me just check if there is something else that you may want to change. I don't believe there is. But what you can also do is specify your own animations. So this is one animation, this is a second one, and the third one, so you can simply add to the idle animations if you want, and the small button will then change between all of those idle animations. But of course you do have to specify these animations, and where you can then do that is under the if statement that takes in the small button just pressed parameter. And as you can see here, I have 4 if-else statements, and it changes from breathing mode, burst mode, wipe mode, and the confetti mode. So you can simply add to this. So you would add after this section another else if statement, set the current mode to be equal to the mode that you want. So maybe you'll have a splashing mode, whatever that will be. You would then first change this current mode from the top one to the splashing mode, and then in this else if statement you change the current mode to the breathing mode, so it wraps around to the first mode. And where do we actually specify this? Let me take a look. So we have 4 modes on the top, so you also need to add the mode at the top. So whatever mode that you add, you have to add it inside here. Also, when the mode is selected, make sure that you call the appropriate function. So in this case, you would write another else if statement, set the current mode to mode splashing, and call the update splashing. And the update splashing, of course, does not exist, so you would have to make it. You would go void update splashing, make the function, and do any kind of animation. Then you can use ChatGPT or any other tool to give you some kind of ideas, or even let the tool write the animation code. As for the last section, I simply had this written down so I could see which color was in effect, which you do not need. As you can see, I have commented out this line. I should also comment out this line, because anything that has to do with the serial prints, this is printed out in the Arduino IDE, which is good if you do debugging, but once it's working you don't really need the serial print lines. Oh, also what you want to do is, in this case I have pressed space, and also because this big button was used with the game, I set it to space. You can use any character that you want, maybe A, small a, so whatever character your game uses as the input to activate the animation, make sure that your big button also uses the same character. And also then make sure that you also release the set character, so in this case space. So I think this should be it. I have pretty much commented out everything that you don't need. So if you just use this code, put it on that mega chip and run it, and if you use the same values, you should have the same animation as you saw in my video. So this should be it for the code. If you have no idea how the animations look like, I suggest you watch my previous video, and I may also include the animations at the end of this video. And if you did like this video and would like to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel. And we'll do something else in the next one.